So for you life path number fours out there, welcome. This is a video for you. This is understanding life path number four through tarot. And cool enough, I have a brand new golden tarot deck. Look how shiny it is. It's basically the same as the classic Rider-Waite deck, except for it's holographic in some parts, and the colors are different too. So, when we talk about the four is at the bottom of the earth plane. Let me get my chart out real quick, just so you guys can see. So, here we've got 1, 2, 3, and now we are at 4, which is down here. So 1, 4, and 7 are the earth signs typically that we kind of associate with numerology. So you've got 1 Taurus, 4 Virgo, and 7 Capricorn. So right now we're here in the middle. So we're in the thick of it in numerology. I think in the middle column, the 4, 5, and 6 are less about starting things and bringing things to a close, but more about that middle, those detail-oriented people that are more in maybe service to others, because we do see that with Virgo. And even though as an earth sign you would think that they wouldn't care so much about others, that they're very logical and practical, but they do. I feel like Virgo would get the ISFJ archetype, and those are feelers, so they naturally want to connect. This card has come up twice, so we're going to take that as the first card for the life path number 4. So it is a 2 in reverse. So this is really about how money factors into your life. It's always kind of on the up and down. You're always kind of balancing it. You're juggling it. So money comes and goes. Usually with this card, I see this with people that attach themselves to lovers that have more financial stability or resources. So I guess we could call this the gold digger card in a way. But you are attracted to maybe somebody else that's well off or something like that, and in a relationship takes that kind of focus. So here with the 4s, I think because we come in the middle, we're seeing that balance, that weighing that, and then Virgos also, like, they have to do a lot. They put a lot on their plate, and here he's even on one foot, so it's like making it harder for himself. And I think they do have a tendency to do that with that Mercury energy. So funnily enough, like, the earth sign is at the bottom, but it's actually represented by Mercury. So Virgo, you get this weird dichotomy of it's like earth, but it's also air, so it can see a lot further than the other two earth signs, in my opinion. It does have a lot more insights. It just depends on the individual and how practical in nature they are, and how much weight they give on intelligence. But Virgos can certainly be very intelligent signs, with Gemini in the 10th house. But I'm getting off track here. So we've got reverse here. So if we are talking about this card in reverse, maybe people seek us for relationships if we are the provider. Maybe we provide that financial stability to others, or maybe there's forces in the world that kind of always, right when we think we got it good, or we have that right amount in the bank account, something out of our control happens, and it just kind of it brings that process back, where we have to kind of weigh the odds and stuff. I think with the 2, you definitely see relationships. Now with Virgo, you don't really see. They're one of the signs that I would think would be the least, not romantic, but the least likely to be found in a relationship, just because they're represented by the Hermit, which is a very solitary individual. It's more about getting in touch with themselves and giving back to the community and the world, but it's a service-oriented sign, and so it doesn't really look for someone else to complicate them, not to compliment, my bad, compliment them. It's more finding their own purpose. And so I think in their minds, a lot of the times they do like that independence. I mean, they can certainly be imaginative, like when you look at the 80s and stuff, which is usually like Virgo archetype. You have the girl that's like head over heels about the lover and stuff, but it's because they're so private and they are so unyielding almost that I don't think that relationships usually are a big focus for them. They may have crushes and things like that, but does it amount to much? I think the majority of the time, no. And if they do, it'll be a very practical relationship, one that makes more financial sense, stability sense, and it won't be like a water sign or a water relationship where it's intense and passionate because Virgos just they don't, that's not comforting to them. Fire and water is very different for them. But Seven of Cups reverse, so two reverses. So I think we may see a little more reverses with Virgo because it's less about the self. It's less about the self. It's more in service to others. But here, with the Seven of Cups in reverse, choices are out of our control. They seem overwhelming. We're terrified to make the wrong choice, and I think we definitely do see that with Virgo, and I guess with the Four. Being in the center, you're in a position that you have to make a lot of choices because you're in the middle. So you really have to pick a direction. Whereas the One is more all about focus on beginnings, and the Seven is about bringing those to a close, being in the last column. The Four is in the thick of it. So you guys unfortunately have to make the most amount of decisions on the Earth plane. And it just seems like that's not your forte. Obviously, with Virgo, we have a good understanding of what we should do, but it's more so the action orientation that you also see Gemini struggle with. So Virgo, I think, is more concerned with hurting other people's feelings or doing something that's not socially, acceptable. They're more aware of their actions, whereas I think a Gemini is just not grounded, is just not practical. So I think that's the difference between the struggle, but making decisions can be challenging for either sign. Here you're very scared about making the wrong choices, but sometimes you just have to pick a direction. You're going to be forced to again and again. It's almost like the Judgment card, but this isn't as weighty. So I think with Virgo, with that detail orientation, you guys are always going to be making like really nitpicky decisions, or you're making those kind of Oh, look what I was talking about. Judgment. Okay. We are going to talk about you. It's really more about seeing through the minutia because you guys can get caught up in that, and so sometimes it can really work out in your favor if you find yourself in a job that is detail oriented, is about fact finding, stuff like that, and putting together puzzles, all of that stuff like you guys are great at, but there's a time and place for that. It's just like the advice I had for the threes, which was Gemini, was when you have an idea, you have to still put it into use in the practical realm. Like just because you know what you need to do doesn't mean that that's enough. You still have to put some elbow grease in and still finalize it. You know what I mean? So the advice I have for you guys is to not get so caught up in those details all the time. Know when they're essential and know when they're just hindering you. Okay? Because you guys can get very, I would say, passive aggressive when it comes to details sometimes, and um, sometimes we lose sight of the big picture when we do that. So I often think that Virgo and Aquarius are like two sides of the same coin almost, that they are very, they see through things very easily and they know right and wrong, what they should do, what they shouldn't do. Like they have all that stuff, but it's Virgo just gets so caught up into, well, this thing, that critical earth nature just steps in and just can't see past those little things. They're just like big, big flashing distractions to them. And so it's just they lose focus when they do that. They get deterred a little bit. So it's important not to be so caught up in that stuff because you guys will have a lot of decisions to make. I would think these two are the decision cards in this deck. Judgment. Judgment. Wow. Okay. That means that those criticisms can reach a very, very big crowd. So you have to be careful. You have to know when it's time to speak. And I think Virgo really gets caught up in um, saying too much. It's like they say little to nothing at all when you first meet them, and then once you've established a dialogue or a relationship or something, then you cannot turn them off. They will just keep going, and so it's very interesting how that like just flips. Like to strangers they don't have anything to say, but once I can speak. This is totally me. But once you get to know them, you become familiar. Suddenly they could write novels with some of their, with their thoughts. They're just so long and so prolific. And so, judgment here, you really have a duty. I was saying duty, service, a duty to do the right thing, the moral thing. This is a very karmic card. Judgment, you'll see a lot more karma come up in major arcana, like the Justice, Judgment, Wheel of Fortune, all those things. And so you guys will be in a position of power, maybe, or just in a position where your voice will be heard in a big way. And it's always about finding that voice. So Virgos are very shy. We see that, the earth signs can be shyer, but Virgo is the shyest of the three for sure. May be the shyest in the zodiac. Comment if you disagree. But I think that's why they are they can be narrow-minded sometimes because they don't see the big picture. They don't see like the overall, arching thing. Oh wow, this has come up before. So we have Aquarius. So maybe we have a lot of fours out there that have Aquarius in their chart. I was just talking about Virgo and Aquarius and kind of the big difference there. So we do have star power. I remember when I did the Life of series. If you guys haven't watched that for Virgo, please do, if that strikes a chord with you. But we did get the star card, and Virgos are oftentimes like the big actors, a lot of actors, because they have Gemini in the 10th, and Gemini is about the duality, and it's perfecting it in the career when it's in the 10th. So they can put on that mask, that second persona, and use it in a career-based situation as Virgo. So you'll usually see them as like the stars in that way. And I think that's more so that because, like I was saying, I think they can see big picture, but they just don't know how to look past the details sometimes, and that can throw them off course. So I think they have that potential to really affect change like an Aquarius would, but it's just all about stepping on their own toes, you know what I mean? It's like getting past that little stuff that's not really all that important. But sometimes detail can be very important. I'm not trying to negate that, but I'm just saying that's the overall theme, the struggle of a Virgo, is looking past some of that sometimes. So, Judgment, the Star, really big concepts here, very big. They were both upright, so that's great. That means that we can be poised to make those choices and those decisions. We do have that capability. It's not forced upon us necessarily. It could be with Judgment, but I think it's just kind of a reminder that we have the answers. You know what I mean? But definitely, if you haven't done your chart, do your chart and see if maybe there's some Aquarian energy in there, or Virgo even. I mean, I know I'm getting away from talking about the actual four itself. I relate so much the numbers to the sign, so sometimes please forgive me. So I'm going to continue talking about fours. So far for a four, we've seen a 2, a 7, a 20, and a 17. Okay. Let's see what else we have for life path number 4. Middle of the earth plane. Lots of technical skills are granted to fours from what I was reading. Oh, how'd that get in there? Let's see here. I'm going to reshuffle because a bunch fell out and none of these are really screaming my attention. Fours. You'd think we'd see some fours. It's not always how it's played out, though, thus far. I think in the... I don't know about the 2, if we ever got a 2, but I know in the 3 video I got 2 different 3s, and I think we got the Empress at the end, so 3s. 3 different 3 cards, but let's see what we have for a 4. Life path number 4. If you are not a Sun Virgo, or don't even have Virgo as one of your Sun, your Ascendant, or your Moon, I'm not only talking to Virgos here, but maybe you can still come across as Virgoan with that 4 energy. So, you know, don't hold me to the fact that everyone with the 4 would have Virgo in their chart. I think it's highly likely, or some Aquarius energy. But see where the placement is when you do your natal chart, and maybe what is in your 6th house if you have some concentration there. And also where Mercury is, because Mercury is Virgo's natal planet. And also, I've been mentioning this in the other videos, and I guess I'll need to reiterate this every time, but see how often 4s come up for you in your life, because you should notice that number actually being quite significant to you, whether it's your mailing address, part of your phone number, you know, just passwords you use, you know, a certain time that you always notice. It'll be significant, so it'll show itself. Let's see here. I'm going to put those back in, you guys. I'm sorry, I want to get it narrowed down to like 1 card when it falls, because this isn't like the other readings. This is a little more concentrated, I guess. Life path number 4. Maybe I should think of some notable 4s so I can actually have like another subject. Okay, here we go. So another 7. You guys have quite a penchant for 7s. That's interesting. At least it's another Earth plane number. I wonder why 7. Because you guys are the 6th sign. Maybe more to come on that, but the 7 of Wands is And this is different from my standard Rider-Waite deck. This guy looks a little mean, so I think it's just the way they kind of animated his face with some of the color. Like, some of the color in here doesn't translate as well as it does in the original, in my opinion, but I do love the holographic. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, win some, you lose some. But here, we... Okay, I see. So we can get really, really defensive. When we're Virgo, we talk about the stubbornness of the earth signs. Definitely will be coming up in your life if you are a life path number 4 or have Virgo and or both. But ultimately, we got that up right, so that means that the majority of the time we're picking the right side. You guys have a lot of big decisions to make in your life, and it looks like the majority of them you're doing well. You're doing what you need to do. So, if it's in defense of a principle or other people, defense of others, we definitely see Virgos being more service to others. I wouldn't say necessarily protecting others. That's more of like a fire trait. But you guys usually are sensible and you're caring, so that typically will find you on the right side of the fence. So you're doing the altruistic, logical, rational thing. So we can count on you guys for that. So thank you. Yeah, but there will be forces that try to take you down constantly. You'll always be having to fight the good fight. So it's not an easy life. Lots of big decisions, lots of bullies maybe. A lot of people that are trying to take you down constantly, but it looks like you guys have some good armor on. You can shield yourself pretty well from it. And you just keep going. Eventually they will get tired, and I think you guys being in the middle, you're very patient. Virgos can be great listeners because I think they like to absorb information, just for their fact-finding tendencies, so they can kind of use it later when they need to prove something wrong. But yeah, so just be patient and just keep doing the right thing, and karma will take care of itself in time. It'll take care of the haters. If you do find yourself at the hill and you're wrong, well, you're going to have to address that sometimes, because that may happen. It may happen where sometimes you do get defensive, and I think it's going to have to do with the details most of the time. So let's see here. Let's see if we can get one more card for life path number 4. One more card. Almost. Quite show itself. Kind of liking this. I haven't changed. I haven't tried out a different tarot deck before. I tried an oracle deck, but it just didn't stick with me. Some of the designs can be so, like, I don't know what the word is. Not abrasive, but they can be very, I don't know. Oracle cards is just a lot trickier for me to find ones that, like, I find aesthetically appealing and that also makes sense, because the thing I like about tarot cards is they're not just like yes, no's. They're like a million different ways you can go with any of them. And so with the videos I make, something may apply to you, but it may be a completely different part of that card that applies to you. So, but I just go off of instinct, what I'm seeing, and hopefully that applies to the mass of you that are watching. But it can mean so many things. That's what's so cool about them. So, any more info for life path number 4? Any more info? may be it, folks. I'm trying to get to 30 minutes for every video, but I don't know. Let me get another one. Okay, so we'll go with this. We'll go with Queen of Swords. So Queen of Swords, bottom of the deck. So Queen of Air. So Virgo is a feminine sign. She kind of is like the feminine warrior, like the Xena or the Wonder Woman of the Zodiac, in my opinion. I guess we could see some defender energy there, but I just don't think we're quite as brave with the air as we are with fire. So I wouldn't see them as like, prepping for battle kind of thing. I think it's more about mind situations that we really wear the crown, and that we're really on the defense or on the attack for. So it's in situations with the intellect that it's involving your strength. And so we see that with the Mercury being representative of your sign. And that's the weird thing. I hope you guys don't get confused because I am talking about the 4 still, but the 4 we're heavily associating with Virgo, so there's crossover there. And so Virgo has a mental sign or planet attached to them, and so that's why they can kind of come across as like an air sign, even though they're so practical, and that kind of is the overt theme. So here, we do well with our mind. We use it for good most of the times, but, we could fall prey to having so much knowledge and power that we can cut others down unceremoniously, or, if we're ready for the attack. She's got that sword held. It's not resting, so she's any intellectual engagement, whether good or bad, she has stuff to say, and she'll probably be victorious most of the time. And I think that's why Virgos get the penchant for them being so smart, and I think it's because they're able to put that rational tendency and marry it with the intellect, and so it makes for somebody that's capable of a lot. But you just have to be reminded to use your power for good. So the only time I really ever see Virgos kind of stray off course and kind of not do the right thing is when they do get to that level where they think they are superior because of their strong intellect. And so that's not cool. And I hope that you don't do that as a 4 or a Virgo. But to put that intellect to good use. So we have that here. It's instrumental here. Yeah. So I think that's enough. You guys could definitely have some air energy in there, even though, like I said, this is the Earth plane. We're at the bottom here, but these are a Queen of Swords is usually an air sign, and then we got Aquarius card. So look out for that. But yeah, I hope this was pretty instrumental. I hope you guys are liking these cards. I'm starting to get accustomed to them, but they are definitely different. They're a little out of my element. And if you are enjoying these videos, please search through my channel. I have a whole lot up, and subscribe if you like me. Send me any comments or suggestions you have, or some stuff that you may want to see in the future. Yeah, and take care. Bye for